Oh, sorry. Welcome to the Big Black Tent. Hi, I am Rebecca, aka Naima Freedom.
I am Natalie Arsenault, her sidekick.
All right, it was getting heated before we before we start recording. Dulce, I forgot her last name, made a statement about if you want to make a change in America, you got to mess with the white man's money. And we were talking about how police officers don't have to pay for their own lawsuits.
Nope, I mean, it's the taxpayers paying for people's lawsuits.
Who else gets that?
Every time a county, a city, a sheriff's office, a state, or whatever, whenever their law enforcement people shoot somebody, kill somebody, beat the snot out of somebody, whatever, and the family gets a settlement, that's taxpayer money.
Who else gets that type of defense? Just police officers?
I don't know. I mean, I would imagine firefight anybody who's anybody who is like employed by the state.
Because teachers don't.
Or government. Well, I don't know. Teachers might, because like, let's say you were
we don't have any labor rights. No. Well, in Texas, we don't. We don't have any labor rights in Texas.
No. But remember, we're not saying whether the teacher gets paid, but if a teacher were to sexually assault a kid, for example, and the teacher didn't go to jail, but the family filed a civil lawsuit against the school, right? The school is going to pay for that, which means taxpayers are paying for that. And it doesn't matter how you do an end run around it. Like, people will be like, oh no, the schools are going to file, they're filing with their insurance, but schools don't make money. States don't make money. Governments don't make money. So everything that they do is paid for by taxpayer dollars. They insurance cover. So even if they go bring up and file a claim for the insurance to pay out, that is still taxpayer money, because your government is funded by only you.
Okay. So I see that because, well, I think like in Texas, there's the AFT. So the Federation of Teachers.
Right.
But you're still putting in your little paycheck to protect yourself. But I guess,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's gonna jacked up. All right.
I mean, so.
So if we want to make a change, I remember several months ago you said, and it sounds so hopeless. I was like, oh, where's the hope?
I think that's as hopeful as it. I think that's beyond hopeful.
Why?
I think that's the most hopeful thing ever. What do you mean? Because I don't have to hope that my plea, my powers of persuasion will somehow move your emotional heartstring and you will do the right thing and whatever. It's not contingent on that. It's purely contingent upon your pocketbook. That's a real easy target. Now, maybe you don't have the fortitude, right? The people who are looking to make the change don't have the fortitude to impose their will on someone else through their money. But the bottom line is, this money that's easy to control. That's an easy target to move. It's not there's no question of it. It is. Either somebody was making 300 billion last year and they're making 100 billion now, or they not. Like, that's just it. It's a very easy metric.
So what? Okay. All right. So what you're saying, I've heard Montgomery boycott, right? So for what, 70 something years, we intellectually know this, right? We know this up here. And it does sound simple. What's stopping us from making those major changes by just withdrawing our money?
Oh, so many reasons. I mean, like, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, we've grown accustomed to convenience, right? Like, I mean, I'm here for it. The convenience. I'm in love with convenience. As is a lot of people, right? Like, they've made things very comfortable. There's this idea, and you see it not just in the Black community, but just across the spectrum, right? That your problem is your problem, not my problem, because I don't have that problem. Right? So yeah, they're shooting young Black boys and Black girls in the streets That's not my problem as an Italian in America, or as an Irish person in America, or as a whoever plug in whatever in America. Like, I'm fine.
So if you're saying, like, for instance, if like the issues that affect the crayon color people, as you say, Black America, and I know with the profit centers when it comes to hair, right? Our hair, Nike, I think, cell phones, a lot of things, right?
Everything that is everything that's consumer and has absolutely no value after you purchased it. Yes, we are the number one. Yeah.
So if we decided, okay, well, we don't want to collectively, we don't want to buy this product to force the companies to take an interest, that would just be it.
Mhm.
Okay, we just don't work together like that.
No, we don't. Because people be, I mean, and it's also things, sometimes the things are irrational, right? So for example, I remember when people were upset about gas prices and all this other stuff, and they were like, we're gonna boycott gas. And I'm like, and exactly how long are you willing to go?
Not me.
Fuel in your car.
I'm not riding that bike nowhere.
I'm like, I'm I'm like, I don't know if that's the exact angle for that particular industry to get them to exactly listen. I'm like, there might be a different angle you might want to try instead of boycotting the thing that you kind of can't live without.
Okay, so like if it's cops, let's say if it's right, it's the police shootings. So you're saying find out the vendor that profits from whatever police officers do,
Yeah,
because somehow it'll make its way back to us.
somebody's putting shoes on their feet, somebody's selling them vehicles, somebody, right? So it doesn't always have to be at the person or thing itself. It could also be at their suppliers and vendors and customers and, all of that.
Okay. Okay, so economically.
Mhm.
And we've heard that economic power, that we have economic power. I know we have economic power. But I don't know the convenience. I think the same reason why our health suffers, right? If you keep somebody tired enough or survival enough or busy enough, it's just one more thing to do. It's just
Or just convenient. I mean, I don't even know if it's about tiredness, and I mean, for some people, definitely, like, I get it. But also we've grown accustomed to just things being, right? Like, I say it and therefore it exists. And so for it not to, I don't think we quite want to go back to that again, right? So even though I'm not tired, and even though I could, you know, go in here and whip up some, healthy dinner or whatever, but I'd rather binge watch something on television, right? Or whatever. And therefore we're gonna order a pizza tonight, kiddos. That's what we're gonna do.
right. Okay, yes, that's nice and relatable.
I mean, that's also an option. So yeah, there are people who are actually like legitimately working 5 jobs and tired and dragging it and all that. But for a vast majority of people also, there are it's just convenience. It's sheer
Convenient.
convenience.
It's
It's
can
I can tell you, we when we where were we? I think when we first moved to Seattle, we were renting a house trying to figure out, where we wanted to be, what we thought was going to be comfortable, all these things. And the house we rented did not have a microwave. And um, we were like, okay, well, we said we wanted to get rid of a microwave anyway, because they're not exactly like the best appliance to have going off in your house all the time. So like, this would be cool. This would be a good transition. And we did. We lived without. We had a toaster oven. We had all sorts of things, right? And we moved back to Texas, and we moved into an apartment while we were trying to figure out where we wanted to buy a house at. And it had a microwave. And we've had a microwave ever since again. Still got the same toaster oven, still have the same little heater things that you put on all the things that you can do that can heat food, all the things. It's just convenience. 30 seconds to 5 minutes. I mean, I made baked potatoes the other day, and so again, microwave. So the microwave has something. There's something tricky about it. I don't know what's happening with it. The maintenance people, the people have to come out and fix it. But I had to put it in the oven. So instead of the baked potato taking 6 minutes to cook, as you know, in the oven it take like 40 minutes to cook.
Oh, nobody's doing that.
I was like, this is called oven baking baked potato.
Wow. Yeah, okay. And you know, the fact that I'm like, oh, bless your heart.
I
Like the
know.
fact that I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? You're right. Nobody's waiting. Cause I'm thinking, no, a pan, if I'm even doing my fish and my salmon, 20 minutes is like, okay. 40 minutes. You talking about Thanksgiving meal stuff. What are we doing?
Baked potato, that is correct. I mean, and so, you know, convenience. I mean, I don't think we recognize how much we appreciate. It's the same reason why I say most of us eat so poorly, because one, we've decided collectively that sugar is not something that you have on occasion. It is something that we have all the time, right? Now, if you think about what it took to make a cake 100 years ago, where you had to like get the grain out the ground, maybe yourself, maybe from a neighbor who was growing it, whatever, but you had to mill it. You had to mill the grain. You had to go milk the cow. You had to churn the butter. All of that, right? Do you think we would be eating sweets like cakes and stuff if you had to do that every goddamn day? No, but it's convenient now. So of course, I think it's a little sweet treat every day because it's convenient. I just want cake more often.
You're right. Convenience. Okay, then that is the drug, that is the culture, that is the thing. You're right. That is our lifestyle. That is our lifestyle. So you're right. When things start to interrupt our lifestyle, which affects our habits and our systems, it's painful to shift. It's not even hard. It's painful to shift out of that. Yeah. Yeah. It's painful once you get going. So okay, well that makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. It's just convenience.
It is convenient.
Wow.
It is
You're right. Things I do because CVS is 24 hours a block away, right? The money I will spend because it's right there.
I think of Instacart and all the delivery services that people have. Everybody used to go to the grocery store just fine. They was fine. The time to pop on in, get what you need, pop on out.
Man,
Now,
they saving kids' lives. That's all I'm saying. They saving kids' lives. To go when I do have to go in, I'm telling you, it's like CPS is gonna give me this time. It's just a risk. It's a risk. But the fact that you can just drive up and they'll pop it in your car.
Put it in or deliver it straight to your door and leave it on your patio.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't give that up. I'd be like, it's not me. Right.
You'd be like, well, sorry, I don't have no job.
I mean, at the end of the day, no, you're right. Because I remember, okay, when I was at the campus, you know, my coworker, she was ordering Burger King. She was having Burger King delivered. And I was like, $30 meal? She was like, girl, it's convenient.
It is convenient. I mean, there was a time in my life when I swore that I was like, I don't see the point of like buying a salad. Like it's easy to make. Like, why buy a salad? And then salada entered my life. And I was like, oh child, I got all these toppings. I just like that one, and my salad is done. Here we go. Moving on. It's
Convenience, HEB ready meals. I mean, that's the lick.
Yep. Yep. And don't let them put a little coupon with it. A ready meal and a
convenience. They get us with and it's not even a distraction. It's just a state of being at this point. But you know, it's amazing how quickly we adjust and adapt when it's not there. That's what surprises me about humans when we have to reverse because there's no other option. We kind of do that effortlessly. No, you don't agree?
I don't reverse very easily at all. Now, maybe others do. But I mean,
Like,
I don't reverse very easily, and I definitely don't do it happily. Like I don't. I never. I mean, when Hurricane Beryl came, which we never really got to talk about, but when Hurricane Beryl came, I got stuck here, which whatever, because I was caught off guard and didn't even realize a hurricane was coming. That's a different story. But when the lights went off, literally, it was 6 a.m. I was preparing for my day. The lights went off. And do you know how quick I was on the phone with hotels? Like I'm not trying to wait to find out when they're gonna turn. Like they could have came an hour later and turned the lights on. I'm not for that. Okay. I'm gonna be at this hotel, minding my business with room service and all the connectivity that I need in my life and AC. Like that's what I'm gonna do. And so that's where we were because right. So I don't do revert very well.
I remember, well, it was only 24 hours for us, but I found, and I had all three of the babies, and I think the relief, it was oddly calm, is what it was. Without the Wi-Fi, without the devices, it was oddly calm for those 24 hours, and it wasn't hot.
It wasn't hot. That was a blessing. I was very glad that for a good chunk of the time, the weather in Houston, for whatever was happening, it wasn't hot for people who couldn't get to ACs. And so, because I'm like, the last time the hurricane came through, it was like 109 and people were boiling in their house.
So that was because it rained all week. It was a weirdest occurrence. It rained all week. So I was like, okay, this is doable. Now, however, when the Wi-Fi in my area, the tower was damaged. So there was no Wi-Fi anywhere in my area, no hotspot, no. I have to say that was maddening. That was.
Why was it maddening? What happened?
It was maddening because everything in our society now, banking, phones, it's all attached to Wi-Fi. So the inconvenience of having to go to an IKEA or a wherever you could find Wi-Fi, that was hella inconvenient.
It really was. Because I'm gonna tell you, let me tell you, I had a prodigal son moment during Hurricane Beryl because I don't know what had prompted us. Oh, I think I was waiting for the hotel to tell me I could check in because obviously it was 6 something in the morning. So they were like, ma'am, we don't really know who here and who not yet. So I went to, my laptop was running out. So I went to, or me, my husband, and my mom, we all went to Randall's because I was like, there's Starbucks in there. They probably have a plug. I can plug in, whatever. And there were not very many plugs. So that was a surprise. Secondly, I'm standing behind the tower of Doritos. You know, little tower of Doritos where they got all the display of Doritos. And behind that was a stack of water that was probably up to my shoulder. There was a plug behind there. So I squeezed my little way behind there, plug in my laptop. I'm standing there. I'm sending emails telling people, hey, look, it ain't gonna happen today. And I was like, this is not my home. This is not what we do. I was like, I don't know. I was like, you know what? I just got in the car and I was like, I don't care if the hotel hasn't called. We're going right now. And I'm just going to talk to the people at the front desk because this is insane. And that is what we did. And my husband was like, okay, well, let's drive on over there. I was like, okay, because this ain't going, I'm not doing this. Oh, no.
Did they let you in?
They did. Praise God for the people at the Four Seasons. Praise them. Praise them. Praise all the people child. Praise them all. They were like, "Oh, we're so sorry." Yes, and then they upgraded my little room, child. I was like,
Okay. Okay, I think you bring up a spiritual principle that Fannie Lou Hamer, she was quoted saying it, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't match the description of the Bible. But when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, like our capacity to suffer, or when we stop and say, that's enough,
"That's
I'm
enough."
not doing this anymore, whatever it is
Like
for us.
even if you're outside of your body, like there are events that I think people have and experiences that people have that they put themselves in. Everything from like people who you hang with and the kinds of decisions that they make and you be tagging along with, to just all the things. And at some point, like the prodigal son, you are in the pigsty. For me, it was Randall's. For other people's, whatever. No, no knock against Randall's. I mean, it was just that it was 3,500 people trying to be in Randall's all at the same time. Um, you come to yourself and you just like, this is not. This is not. It's not me. It's not about. It's not. It's not. Nothing about this resonates.
Ah, I love that, because you're centering back to yourself, you're checking in with yourself, and that violated your knowing, your belief system, and you got your results. You took action and you got your result. Now, the thing about that, I'm realizing, me, you, another, the poor will always be with you. Like, you have, our journey is so filled with different levels of that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
different realms of that. And I don't want to say getting people to believe is better, but our capacity to get to the place where we're like, no more,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I think is when it comes to our community, especially, you can say all of America, but specifically for us and specifically for Black women in this country, there is a way that we go and that we do, and the way that we may hustle. I think we're pushing through that,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a sense, like, whether it's let me okay, I'm gonna shift a little bit there, and I'm bringing up Oprah, Lord, but she has this dude on there, this dude, I forgot his name, but there's a brother, I'd never heard of him, I was so surprised, but he has a church,
Okay.
and he had the posture of the nation, and then he admitted he belonged to the nation, in the 70s.
Okay.
But apparently in his church, he had at one time like 52% men, which is very rare,
Yeah.
right? And very
Yes.
rare. So she was like, well, what was the difference? And he said, well, I did take that part of the nation with me, that men had to be accountable, that they had to be dressed, that they had to, have the chivalry, that they had to, so he took that part of what worked for him. And he wrote a book recently about men, and about the duties of men. And he said he gave it to his wife to read the manuscript. And she was like, yeah, okay, good. You've been listening. And he was like, there's a group of women, I'm bringing men into this, but this is in many relationships. We've talked about boundaries, but in a lot of our relationships, whether it be our romantic relationships, where the partner, the person that we're with, represents another thing I have to take care of, or
Mm-hmm.
another piece of baggage, right? It's not equally yoked, whether it be your workplace, whether it be your man. So I was thinking about that when it came to your capacity, that for you, you were like, this is out of alignment. This doesn't fit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I'm moving on higher, versus some of us who might have a truckloads of capacity for trauma. Like, well, thank the Lord I got my help. And we stop right there, right? We stop right there,
True.
what suffering, but I show him I got my.
Yes, that is true. That is very true.
And I say that because I'm like, I love that about you. I think that works. Well, it obviously works for you, but I think that works because I think we've been so programmed into not understanding our full capacity as humans, and our no, and not to have the need to suffer, that we could
Yeah.
actually relish in the beauty of things
Yes.
and
Yes.
have that be the norm,
Yes.
you know? Like, I don't have to be tagged in the game of sacrifice in order to,
Correct.
right? And I think maybe we're coming out of that, but I think that's what also slows down the needle for us, at least for me, because there's some bitter taste of suffering that I'm used to. And it's like, nah, it's that bad. You're like Bugs Bunny, you know?
That's hilarious. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean that you bring some very poignant perspective to the table. It's true. I mean, I think, but I think capacity also has to do, and it's almost like form follows function, chicken versus egg, whichever, like, I don't know which one drives which. I would like to believe that your boundaries drive your capacity.
Mm.
It could be the other way around, right? Um, but I think if you are here for anything, that's exactly what your capacity will be. Your capacity be right there for anything.
Mm. I like that. I like that. If you're here for, yeah, because yeah, don't work. I've been there. Show don't work.
And I get, people are gonna be like, well, some of it has to do with exposure and all this other stuff. And I do get that. I do get that, you know, there is a part of this that has to do with what you can envision, right? Like what you have to somehow see it somehow, some way, even if it's in your dreams, whatever the case may be. But I also firmly believe that your spirit being is also your compass. Like I feel like it enacts the boundaries for you if you listen. So you may not have ever seen a healthy relationship in your life, right? Everybody in your family may have had dysfunctional, crazy, deranged relationships. But I also think that there's something inside of us, even having witnessed all of that, that tells you that something you may not know how to put your finger on the thing, but I firmly believe that something is wrong with the relationships that you're having.
Mm.
I don't think that, unless you're completely disconnected and there might be some mental stuff going on or whatever, but like if you are of sound mind, body, and spirit, right? But you just haven't seen the thing. I firmly believe that there's something in you that just says, this dude didn't raise his voice at me. This is not really how this is supposed to be. Like I know my aunties and my grandmama and all of them, but I feel like this is not right. It's not how it's supposed to be. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but because I mean that's kind of how I felt about like religion when I was younger. Like I didn't have there was, everybody was either Southern Baptist or Jewish, one or two, take a pick. And I just was every time I would go to like a church or some religious institution as young as 5, I was just like, something about this. I don't know what it is exactly, but
If it wasn't fitting you, it wouldn't, yeah, resonating with you.
it's not right.
Okay. So that's even amazing too. And we've talked about this before. The amazing part that you had that voice and that your mother supported that voice so that knowing in you never died. It just grew stronger and created your world versus unfortunately a lot of us women in our community where you had that voice, but maybe you were so it was beat out of you for a little bit,
Yeah,
right? And you're reclaiming that voice, or you just give up out of despair. But everyone does have that.
yeah,
Everyone does have that, even if they're disconnected. And I like what you're saying because it sounds like the culmination of the work is finding that voice and honing that voice. It's there,
it's
but
there.
honing and validating that.
There. And there's this my mom used to listen to like a lot of the older gospel music stuff, and there's this song called I Had a Praying Grandmother.
Mm.
And the woman in the song talks about how she kind of tells a story about how she grew up and in the church and all this, but then she kind of departed from those ways, and she decided she was going to, you know, sing secular music and all this. And then she got into drugs with her boyfriend and all this. And the end of the story, she basically was like, you know, she had overdosed, and she was literally like dying, like knew her body was getting ready to exit this plane dying. And she said, but she had a moment in all of that chaos, there was a moment of salientness where she was just like, she asked God to save her. In the midst of all of that, while she's in the middle of dying. And he did, and she got her life together and all this other stuff. And so I feel like no matter how much of the chaos is there, I just feel like there's a moment where you have this tunnel vision of clear lucidity to make a decision at that point. And set a boundary or create space or whatever the case may be. And sometimes we choose to do it, and sometimes we don't choose to do it.
It's true. Right. And sometimes we have to do it over and over, you know.
That's correct.
You're right. I like what you said about making the space for the possibility and not the dismissal of it. So making the space. And maybe that's what Gen X is about. Maybe it's about us actually making the space for other possibilities. I saw something that I wanted to I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it in the physical yet, but it was something very interesting. And we've talked about this, about the recovery from integration, the recovery of from right what our parents went through. And you remember how South Africa, I'm old, I'm older, I'm a lot older, and I still don't know about that. But you remember how they did the reconciliation panel, and they were like, if you just tell the truth, we won't, right, you won't get punished if you just
Get that mess out of here. Okay.
You remember that? So I feel like for our community, it would be fascinating because I have not been in these rooms, and I'd like to be in that room where our generation is just able to tell the truth and just, I don't know, leave it somewhere. Like I just feel like, you know how like they do you know, museum for those who were lynched and stuff. I feel like there needs to be a living museum for those of us who've been integrated this way. Like we're not talking about this. I need a plaque on the wall somewhere about this whole Reaganite generation to, you know, like that was some stuff. You know, I just feel like we have some stuff to confess, clear, get in the atmosphere, right?
What would you want the first thing of truth telling to be? What would you like if you were like, here's my truth about my experience with.
I think it's what I hear on Instagram. Okay, so I'm gonna take the long way. I didn't realize that this was a thing about our generation till I kept hearing people talk about Gen X realities, about latchkey kids, and about why we were outside and not allowed to come inside. And I was like, some of that's just like trauma based. Like some of that just don't ring true. It wasn't just all culture. Some of that there was something really wrong with y'all. So I would say the first thing I would like to talk about was our humanity was under attack, and I get it. That was the culture.
Yeah.
But there was no such thing as vocalizing anything for majority of us, which led to a lot of abuse in our community. But talking back was literally just communicating. Like, you could not vocalize any dissonance. You can have a thought, you can have criticism, you could not, which makes for great slaves as you get older,
Yes, it
right?
does.
Because you're not used to objecting. And then when you do object, you lose control because you're not used to objecting. You got all them pent up emotions. So,
You yelled and raised your voice and you didn't even need to.
right, right. That's why I'm not raising their voice. But I would say, like, right, children are seen and not heard, right? That whole thing.
But isn't that also the experience of the people, the generation prior and the generation prior? I mean, like, if you think about it, that's not just.
Yes, but ours, we didn't have that community no more, right? We wasn't around, and I don't know if the community was ever, quote unquote.
But I think that's where that came from. I think that the notion of being seen and not heard probably really, really started upon the Jim Crow and segregation period, because now you mixing with these people, but they can still take your life and ain't nobody gonna ask nothing. So shut up, and when they tell you to do something, look down at the ground, do the thing they told you to do. Shut up, don't ask me no questions either. Get out the house. Take a quarter with you in case they ask you. So
That's true. That's true.
But I mean, that's not to say the trauma's not still real, right? That people inherit, like from all of those behaviors that the people who are on the receiving end of that.
And I know they had no way of knowing. I can't imagine being in that situation. All of a sudden, what you perceive is now access, is, and look, it is access, because I'm not, right. There's some unimagined horrors that I don't have to experience from my parents' generation, right?
That's true, yes.
There's some stuff I cannot even imagine they went through. So I am grateful. And however, I still feel like some things just need to be said. Is there anything that you think needs to be said collectively from this experience?
I don't know, because I don't think there would be anything aimed at like my parents or anything, because I mean, like, anybody who you talk to, which I found very weird, but anybody who you talk to, including friends that I still have to this day from way back when, my mom let me say whatever, all the things. I challenged authority, all the things. So I didn't have the notion to, not be who I was, not say what I wanted to say, not question things, including authority. But what I would say that I think affected me, and maybe not affect might be a wrong word, but was surprising to me, was that I thought that after everybody went through desegregation and all this other stuff, and we all, Gen X, we made it through, after parents were desegregated and all this other stuff. And then we decide, okay, we're going to try to embrace our crayon color. And we are going to try to find those epicenters of Blackness. I was taken aback by how not supported I was by my own people after having been raised with white people my entire life. Like, then to find those pockets of Blackness, and in higher education, at HBCUs, to not feel the love and to see the same dynamic that existed in the white predominantly white schools or all white schools, to see that dynamic play out, I felt betrayed. I was like, I don't know what the hell I was waiting for. I'm going over here back to a white university. Bye.
Ah, so you thought it was gonna be this kumbaya moment.
Oh yeah, child. I thought it was gonna be like, come back to the people. And you was just gonna come walking down the school, the university yard, and everybody
What did it to you? The financial aid line? What happened?
girl, don't even get me started on the crazy mayhem of how they made. That was like, y'all need to get there. Like, I would talk to my friends who went to white university, and they'd be like, why are you still waiting for your schedule? I'm like, oh my gosh. But
I
no,
remember that TSU was like in these long lines in the gym, and U of H. This tells us
that's how
how
Xavier was. And Xavier wasn't cheap.
tall and enroll.
Xavier was. And Xavier was private. It was HBCU, but it was private and it was cheap. And I mean, it wasn't cheap. And I was amazed by the lack of process and but I mean, just the student body experience.
You
I
thought it was like human, like
yeah, I mean, I thought, I don't know, I just thought that people would just be more welcoming, like, to ideas, that we weren't a monolith, so like you could really question, share, do like all of that. And that was not the case at all. It's quite the opposite.
mm, so you might have been around. So is this, and I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna say this because I don't know how to say it.
Everybody in trouble.
So was it a class issue? Because this is what Priscilla would say. Priscilla would say this. Sometimes people just don't have the same amount of exposure or culture. And if you are talking about things that other people haven't been exposed to or don't have a
I mean, it's possible, but for you, so for you to go to Xavier University in New
right.
Louisiana,
Mhm.
likely came from, I'm not saying there were definitely kids there, because one of my friends was in the projects in New Orleans and all this other stuff, right? But the other people that I was around, and people who preceded me in the class before, that graduated before the Elkins who went, they they were middle class, upper middle class, so similar, because there Xavier didn't hand out full rides. Like, they weren't, HBCUs don't be handing out full ride scholarships to people. So you either had to get financial aid, you gotta have parents who gonna write a check. Like in my case, you're going to get, like, I had a partial scholarship, but then my parents had to supplement the rest of it. So you probably are coming from some level of middle class. Now, but that's my point, right? Because middle class means different things in our local culture, right? Because people are still exposed to different things. You could be middle class and still not have taken an extended vacation outside of your city or state.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, So I mean, it could have been that. I mean, I don't know. I was just like floored by and I was like, you know what? I don't need this from none of y'all Negroes. I'm gonna go right back on over here and mind my business with these white people, where I know what I'm about to get. I know how to manage around that. I don't know how to manage whatever this is over here. I ain't never seen it. I'm not trying to uncover it. I don't have time to learn it. I'm leaving. Bye.
I could say, okay. I could see that. The interesting thing is when I went to U of H, I was a commuter. So it was kind of like extended high school for a little bit. And
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, that too. So I also lived off campus. I had an apartment in Metairie because my parents knew I wasn't fit to do no goddamn dorm room. That wasn't happening.
So okay, so you had a couple different life experiences then, a lot earlier than I did. Because I was commuting from home to U of H, and I remember majority of my classes back then, right? U of H is different now, but back then it was majority white students, at least the area that I was in.
Yeah.
And when I was around Black people, it was if I took like African American psychology, right, Black psychology, or something like that, and I was like, what? This is where, it was my little dose of human for 90 minutes, twice a week.
Okay.
So I remember, or if you went to the African American Studies department, but I remember because the outer scope, right, the outer bounds were so white that we gelled so tight because it was just a classroom of us, which might have been 25 kids, right? Really, really small back then. So I can see how those nuances are really, 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 really different. We tolerate each other in a different capacity. I don't know what it was like at TSU, but I left there fantasizing about what it would be like if I went to historically Black university.
Okay.
So yeah, to each his own, but I do understand. So was it just that, or was there also colorism? It sounds like there was a lot of structural issues, but
I mean, I don't know what the motivating factors were for it. But I had like two or three people that I knew that were pre-med with me. But like, I don't know, I just thought that like, the study hall, everybody would be trying to help everybody figure out whatever they're supposed to be trying to figure out. Like, it just wasn't like this feeling of love and like let me tell you this much. I felt, and it's probably gonna get everybody on here, dear Lord. I felt more love from strange Black people on the day that Barack Obama became president, and I didn't even vote for that man. And people getting on the elevator, giving me googly eyes, like I was like we were in it together. We are here. We support. What up? Dapping people up, smiling, all the things. And I'm like, that's kind of what I expected going to the HBCU. I was like, I just figured like, everybody would just be kind of warm. Like, and you in Louisiana. I'm like, ain't y'all supposed to be warm people? I thought y'all supposed to be so welcoming. What's happening? So yeah, I mean that was just it. I mean, like there was, attitudes everywhere. You ask somebody for help or a question about something, somebody had an attitude about you need to go do it. And I'm like, okay, well, bye then. I'll figure it out myself.
the customer service. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We carry it. Like I said, we carry it very, very different. But I hear what you're saying in the fact that you knew what to do with the white folks. You knew what to expect from them. You knew how to navigate that.
I had no expectation that white people were going to set out to help me. There was no expectation for that at all.
But it was intolerable because you had this idea, this fantasy that your people were supposed to.
And that's what they were there to do, that we was all like here. We have a whole higher education space dedicated to our learning and the support and us supporting each other so that we can all see these dreams come true and not waste our parents' money. So,
I'm thinking maybe that exists in the sorority/fraternity. I didn't pledge, so I don't know that, but that's my fantasy of what they are and why they exist, because they be kumbayaing like that.
Maybe, I don't know, but I can't. The main reason why I can't, and I have a lot of friends and family who pledged and are in sororities and fraternities and all that. I just can't get past that because you're not supposed to order me. I have a problem with authority in general, so you're not supposed to order me around and then tell me that we like brothers or sisters. Or like I'm like, not my definition. Love don't hurt. So I'm not about to be in my knees, scrubbing your bathroom shower. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Do that yourself. I'm not that. There are other ways that I can prove my loyalty or prove that I love you, and it is not you barking orders at me so that I can somehow prove that I listen to you like I'm a little puppy. That's not happening.
Okay, I can say yes, that is not the place.
Like I told you the other week, the police department was not for me because if you run, I'm like, know yourself. I would have made a bad everybody on the line because I'd be like, did you hear what that girl told us? And then she told us we need to go get her lunch at 2 in the morning. I'm not gonna get a girl lunch at 2 in the morning.
I could totally. Okay, so if you're gonna be treated like you're treated with the white folks, you might as well just be with the white folks.
The white folks.
Okay. Okay. That sounds about right. That is why in my eldest years, I have developed a lot of compassion for our civil rights leaders because they know us, they work with us anyway. Right? Like as much as people want to say whatever about Farrakhan, I don't want to do what he's doing. Are you kidding me? You want to rally us? I don't want to rally us.
I'm not.
We hate us a lot and we have to work through that. So yeah, the capacity to rally us, to love us, to teach us how to love ourselves, to gather us. To me, that's a miracle if you can get us to do that and commit to that cause.
Correct.
So no matter what the belief is, I'm like, you a miracle worker because I don't see us rallying like that.
Nope. Yeah. Malcolm, Farrakhan, Stokely, all of them. I'm like, I don't know what y'all was thinking, child. Marcus, everybody. I was like, I don't know what y'all. I'm not. I can't participate with y'all.
They've done it. They've done it. Oh my gosh. So, which leads me to this. We just gonna break it open. So, what is your issue with Oprah?
Oh Lord.
What's your issue with Oprah? Is she not rallying the call all these years? She is interviewing lots of Black people these days.
Really?
Yes, much more than she used to. Okay, so let me say, okay. So the reason why Oprah was so near and dear to my teleheart is because when she came on the scene in 1986, she was the only brown-skinned woman that I remember seeing on mainstream TV. And because I was a latchkey kid, when I walked in the house at 2 o'clock, whatever time we got home, elementary school, she was on TV somewhere near God and Light. I can't remember, but she was somewhere near God and Light. Because I got home in time to watch As the World Turns and God and Light, whatever time we got home. Okay. So she was somewhere, I think she came on 4 o'clock after Donahue or something like that. I don't know. So she was representation. Okay. Now, as I got older, which means high school, I remember a lot of political and religious leaders, right, especially in the turmoil in the 90s, needing a platform, and she had the biggest platform.
Did she let? Because I don't remember seeing none of them. Who was on there?
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying. No, that's what I'm saying. I remember in high school that there was a lot of backlash because she had this platform. And a lot of our political religious leaders were like, hey, you got a platform. We out here getting it. Come on. And for whatever reason.
Phil Donahue did more for Black people than I feel like Oprah did on her show. I'm just going to put it out there. Like
Phil Donahue, I'm curious because I'm telling you, one day I would love to interview her. I wonder what were her, not reasons, but what was her position versus, I don't even know how to phrase it, because I used to get this sense that she worked in like a corporate America. In my brain, I saw this woman who was like, I know my audience and my money is this audience. I know that they are not ready for that. And for me to make effective change, this is me pretending to be Oprah. I'm so projecting, but and in order for me to make effective change and have this money to funnel to y'all, I can't directly deal with these issues. I've got to approach this sideways.
Well, you made two assumptions.
Okay.
One was that she funneled money to us, meaning the Black community, right? You're
Right.
making an assumption. I know she said things, she did a lot for the continent of Africa, and has even made comments about when asked why her money was flowing over there versus flowing here in the inner cities of the United States, said that they were way more appreciative than the Black kids here. So she was doing stuff over there. So that's the first assumption. And then the second assumption was that you're thinking that in her early days, she was as self-aware.
Well, you're right. She may not have been. You're right. She may not have been, you're right. She may not have been as self-aware. I don't
So
know what
this,
her was.
so this is my thing on it. Look, I get it. We all have a road to blaze, and you have to choose your battles.
Right.
Definitely, because you will be out here trying to champion a cause for something, get booted out, and that cause do not have a net for you. Okay, so
Like Arsenio Hall and Farrakhan. Remember we had him on there? It was like bye bye.
I mean, like, he did his little stand, got booted, and I'm like, I don't, yeah. So, but at some point, right? At some point, the whole point of you making the calculated decisions that you made back when was to get you to a place to where you could make different decisions and any decision you want. So I'll give you one example. And I'm not like a beehive, whatever it is, like great performer, whatever, but I still ain't been to a concert. Okay, so Beyonce.
Oh, Beyonce, she said beehive.
I'm not the beehive. But I remember that when Beyonce was looking at her deal, she was talking to not only Adidas, but another very reputable athletic company. And she said when she took the meeting with the not Adidas, because she ended up going with Adidas, she walked into the room and there was nothing but white people sitting at the table. And she said to them, y'all ain't got no diversity, I'm rolling out. And left and went to Adidas. So the whole point of being able, of getting to a certain level and dealing with all the crap you had to deal with to get to that level, is that it gives you a little bit more autonomy to place demands based on your popularity, based on your influence, based on, right, all of those things are factors once you get to a certain level. And I just never really saw her exercise that in a meaningful way, in a really significant way for the Black community in the United States.
Okay, I watched her. What do you think about this? I watched her last. Okay, I watched that very last episode where they were showing or showcasing her impact for the past 25 years. Did you see the episode?
Yeah, but I have not stored any of those memories.
Oh, okay. So let me start with because I was the Oprah. So when they marched out those 400 men from Morehouse, I was impressed, but I know she's a billionaire and stuff. But still, when she marched out those 400 men, I was like, okay, well, maybe it was a situation where the left hand wasn't telling the right hand. You know what I'm saying? Maybe she wasn't announcing what she was doing.
No, I remember the Morehouse dudes.
Okay.
I remember
impact, no?
Even before the 20, like before they did that, I remember her talking about that.
Okay. That's impact, no? No.
We isolating on one data point? Because okay, I'm like, okay, well then yes.
Okay, well let's hit this.
This is a performance review. So a performance review doesn't just look at what you did yesterday, right? Hopefully leaders are not just deciding your merit raises on what you did yesterday. We need you to look at the totality of the year that is under review.
Okay, the 25 years. Okay, we're looking at 25 years.
At years in this case. I'm not even gonna look at 25 years because again, I understand in the beginning, right? You got to
She
build
didn't
that.
even own the show in the beginning,
Yeah,
and
she
I don't
didn't
know what
do the
year.
show. Yeah, no. So that's what I'm like. So I'm not trying to say 1992 Oprah should have been out here with Louis Farrakhan marching up and down the street. Like I'm not saying that at all.
Right.
Okay, at all. Because I get it. Like I said, you have to in order. What's the movie? The line from The Great Debaters that Denzel Washington said: "You have to do what you have to do what you. Sometimes you do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do."
Yes.
Right. So that means sometimes you have to swallow the hard pills. It's not the decision you would have made. You want to do something different. I would have chosen a different, whatever, all these things, so that you get to the place where you can do what you want to do.
Right.
So when she got to the place where she had enough power and influence to do what she wanted to do,
Mhm.
that's where we're gonna start the review.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, you had me. One question I've always wanted to know though, because in the 25 years I've watched her show, schooling and education was very important to her. And I have to say that I did feel some kind of way about her not doing any type of school here. I don't know if she's funded something. But I thought, wow,
But I
you
mean, you may have funded it, but you didn't. I mean, like everybody knew about the school for girls in Africa. I mean, like that was like the gold mantle of all the things. And I'm like, so even if you're quietly funding something here, what is the difference? Well, she said the difference. She was very loud and vocal about her difference. But why would you decide to put a spotlight on that, which you can, and that's fine. I'm not saying you even have to choose, but there was no like the amount of work that I know that there are schools here that are like charter schools and things like that that are focused on trying to help young Black men, young Black girls do excel in school, have stellar metrics on getting kids into college. Like some of them have like 98% success rates of graduating students and them going to, and like not a peep, not a peep.
that's interesting. I would like to find out that I would like to find out that answer. And I say that because it scrapes somewhere in my heart the same reason why we haven't had a president of our lineage, and I say our lineage.
Mhm.
Why? What is that about going outside of us? Is that a sense of self-hate? Is that what is it that we're not investing here at home, or we're not assisting, helping the same thing you experienced at Xavier?
Yep.
Um, what is it about us that is not assisting each other in that way out loud? Or, is it a fear? Is it trauma based? Somebody threatening somebody when you get us to a certain point. Um, what is that, epigenetics? Like they're talking about now. I don't know what it is, but that is pretty obvious. And I have to say, when it comes to issues of the presidency, I'm like, oh, there are people weren't even enslaved here.
Right.
Or you're not really investing here the same way. We don't get the same praise here.
Right.
That is something to be said and investigated. And I would like to know the answer.
Like,
Just
I
because
want the truth.
I want the truth. Because I contributed 25 years of my life watching this show. 25. I was raised on the Oprah. Look, even before Oprah was on, I remember when she was doing them shows when it was like, surprise, your husband's mistress is here. Like, you remember that woman? I don't know if it was Sally Jesse or hers, and one woman ended up killing themselves, something like that.
There's something about that
I
vaguely.
remember watching this salacious stuff in
Mhm.
second grade.
So you be hiding them self-aware? Yes. Yes.
Where some of my trauma come from, but anyway,
Right? Okay.
watching all of that.
Yep.
So okay. Oh, I do want to throw this out there, and then I'll let it go. Hillary is coming to town. She's coming to Houston October.
Hillary
She's
who?
Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
She's coming to. She's like, why would Because I said I want the juice. If she's gonna be in town, I'm gonna just throw out to the universe. Look, you got an hour. Did you just answer some of these questions? Hillary is gonna be in Houston. A little bit of vulnerability, Hillary. A little. A smidgen.
How do you respond to calling people super predators?
Exactly. I want to know. I want to know. She has, I just want to know. I just want to know. I just want to know.
You're
If
the only
there's
one who wants to know, because most of us are perfectly fine with that shenanigans. Yeah, because you got to look past it for the other thing. So this is where me and pragmatism part ways.
okay.
I just I can't get down like that, because if somebody, like, we talk,
People tell you we are, believe them, and that's it.
yeah, I'm like, when somebody tells you who they are, like Miss Maya told us, you need to believe that. And like, we've talked about this before too, like, core character fundamentally held beliefs. Those things are hard to rock. They usually don't rock. You're not really moving the needle on core beliefs. And if that's not something she talked about at the dinner table. That's not like she felt so strongly convicted in that belief that she articulated that on national television multiple times. At that point, look, we can have a conversation. Like I said the other day, I'll sit down with a Klansman and have a conversation. As a matter of fact, I live next door to one. I'm perfectly fine with saying hello to them. We can have a whole conversation about why you think Black people are what you got, whatever views you got. I'm willing to have the conversation. But for me to think that you're going to do something that benefits me.
Oh no, not benefits. Not benefits. I don't know what it is. I think
good, or is supportive, or is going to help me get to another level. Any of that, I don't understand where that comes from.
not the support. I don't know. I think there is something about, maybe it's this end of life I'm going through with parents and grandparents, but I am just curious if there. I know it's a deeply core belief, but I don't know. There's just something curious about me that just wants to see. I just need to look in your eye. I don't know what it is. Like, what did it feel like saying that? Maybe I'm interested in hearing, like, yeah, I truly believe that. Okay. Even though you said it, I don't know what that is, but maybe because I'm thinking 30 years plus have gone by, right? Um, is there a glimmer of humanity within you? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just that is a point of something with me.
Nope.
It's like,
So I wish her well in her trip to Houston. Safe travels. I don't need any parts. Any parts. They're just things that there's, again, when we talk about boundaries, it's some non-negotiables. Absolutely non-negotiables. And people will say, oh, that's not smart, it's whatever, and that might be. I'm not saying that's not true. But I don't know how to trust. I don't know how to trust you. Like, the essence of a relationship is trust.
that's true.
And if I think that you have this perception of me of being an animal or a monster, I don't know how to trust anything. Like, I don't know even know how to really work. Like, I don't know. I just don't know how to trust you. And so I don't know how we would move ahead from that.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's good to know. I will not invite her to the cookout.
You can. I mean, people had Joe Biden up there with his little busing programs and stuff. They had him up there at Morehouse giving closing,
Oh yeah.
speeches and all sorts of stuff. So I mean,
Yeah. I think, well, that's about money. That I don't know. That's about money. That
that's
is.
fair if he paid for his spot, but usually they don't pay.
Oh, really? Oh,
The
I thought he
speakers
was.
come to
I
speak.
thought this whole thing was to get more money for the college.
Oh,
Well,
well, they have given more money, I suppose, with the, there now may be more people who know that Morehouse exists because press.
a check. Like,
And maybe some alumni opened their checkbooks and wrote some more big checks, possibly.
you don't think he wrote a check? No. She was like, no, that's not what this party is. You see, you see the. He's like, no. Well, okay, I guess this
She
is
look
my.
like no too. Look at Gracie eyes. She got a side eye. She like.
You better get off here for Gracie invites herself to your house again. She's like, is Natalie? Is she was asking about you the other day. But just leave it alone, Gracie. Sleep.
Me about the children and me because I'm like, y'all know that like I don't have no children and I don't have any kind of children-y instinct.
She said, you know, they don't seem to mind, apparently.
And I'll be like, okay.
She's like, you look like you like to play.
I don't. This is why the dogs love Martin because he go and play and they roll in the grass with them and all that. And I'm like, look, we just sit here and drink some tea. I need you to sit right there and be cute. That's what you do. Okay, we love you.
Oh, I saw this meme. Last thing I saw this meme in this woman. I forgot the comedian, but she holds the dog up and she said, "This is how you could tell you have a black dog." And I was like, "What am I looking at?" And the dog does nothing. And she said, "Exactly."
They'd be
Do
like,
you,
why am I in the air? That's the question.
why? So your dogs don't be.
Oh no. No, no.
Dogs don't be licking you in the mouth.
You were talking about creatures that lick their own booty. That is not. And I love them dearly and would mortgage all the property to say they like child, all of it. I would like sell all the houses, sell all the things, save my dog life. God darn it. But no, no. I mean,
So
that's
that
the
is
reason
true.
why I like the cat that we inherited after our last dog passed or whatever. Is an outside cat because I'm like, this is disrespectful. You know, if it's a be all up on my counters and mess, child, you can stay outside. I will bring you all the food and I will love and hide, wave and pet you and whatever, but you are not coming in this house to be on my clothes, on my couch, on my cabinet. It's not happening.
Yeah, that's not me. That's not me. Wow. Okay, so that is true. That is a black dog thing.
Yeah, no, you don't. I mean, I do know some people who like are black and have dogs, and they dog be licking them in the face, and I'm like, they just licked their booty 10 minutes ago. That
Oh.
they lick their paws, they be all on the grass, sipping in poop and pee and squirrel dump, and I'm like, no, no.
Okay. Well, we're gonna say good night. Good night. And she must be ready. And until next controversial time, blessed be.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.